What happened to the wives of the fallen angels? What punishment did the Archangel Michael deliver upon them? The Bible and ancient texts hint at a terrifying fate, one rarely spoken of. Some say these women were consumed by divine fire. Others believe their spirits still wander in torment. But what really happened? Welcome to Bible Stories, where we explore the mysteries of the Bible and the hidden truths buried in ancient scriptures. If you love deep biblical insights and untold stories, make sure to like, share, and subscribe this video. Your support helps us bring more powerful biblical revelations to light. Stay with me as we unravel this hidden story, drawing from the book of Genesis, the book of Enoch, and other ancient sources. You may never see this part of biblical history the same way again. Long before the Great Flood, before the days of Noah, a celestial rebellion unfolded that would forever alter the course of human history. Angels, beings of divine order, chose to forsake their heavenly realm, drawn by forbidden desire. The Bible speaks of this event in Genesis chapter 6, verses 1 to 4. And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. These sons of God, known as the Watchers, were meant to observe and protect, but instead they became entangled with the affairs of mortals. Ancient texts, such as the book of Enoch, chapter 6, provide even greater detail about their descent. And it came to pass, when the children of men had multiplied, that in those days were born unto them beautiful and comely daughters. And the angels, the children of heaven, saw and lusted after them, and said to one another, Come, let us choose us wives from among the children of men, and beget us children. At the heart of this rebellion was Simjaza, the leader of the Watchers. He feared that their actions would bring divine judgment, but he was not alone in his desire. He and 200 angels swore an unbreakable oath upon Mount Hermon, a solemn pact that bound them to their fateful decision. Then swore they all together and bound themselves by mutual imprecations upon it. And they were in all 200 who descended in the days of Jared on the summit of Mount Hermon. And they called it Mount Hermon, because they had sworn and bound themselves by mutual imprecations upon it. 1 Enoch chapter 6, verses 5 to 6. The Watchers, once glorious and radiant, fell from their divine positions and took human wives, violating the laws of heaven. Their union with mortal women brought forth an abomination, the Nephilim. These were not ordinary children. The Bible in Genesis chapter 6, verse 4, describes them as, There were giants in the earth in those days. And also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men which were of old, men of renown. But these were not just giants in stature. They were creatures of immense strength, unnatural appetites, and an insatiable thirst for power and destruction. According to the book of Enoch, chapter 7, the Nephilim ravaged the earth, and they became pregnant, and they bare great giants whose height was 3,000 ells, who consumed all the acquisitions of men. And when men could no longer sustain them, the giants turned against them and devoured mankind. And they began to sin against birds and beasts and reptiles and fish, and to devour one another's flesh and drink the blood. These monstrous offspring corrupted humanity, spreading violence and evil across the world. Their mothers, the wives of the fallen angels, witnessed their children's bloodlust, their hunger, and their cruelty. Did they regret their choices? Did they realize too late the consequences of their union with beings who were never meant to dwell on earth? One thing was certain: God's patience was running out, and soon the Archangel Michael would be sent to bring divine judgment, not just upon the fallen angels, but upon their wives and the Nephilim as well. Stay with me as we uncover the wrath of God and the fate of these women in the next part of our story. The corruption of the fallen angels and their offspring, the Nephilim, had reached its peak. The world was drowning in bloodshed, and the cries of the innocent reached the heavens. The once beautiful creation of God was now filled with terror, violence, and unholy abominations. And then God spoke. In the first Enoch chapter 10, verses 11 to 15, we are given a glimpse into the divine decree of judgment. And the Lord said unto Michael, Go, Bind Semjaza and his associates who have united themselves with women to defile themselves in all their uncleanness. And when their sons have slain one another, and they have seen the destruction of their beloved ones, bind them fast for 70 generations in the valleys of the earth, till the day of their judgment and of their consummation. The command was clear. Michael, the mightiest of the archangels, was to lead the charge against the fallen ones. But his mission was not only to punish the watchers. Their wives too had played a part in this great transgression, and now they would face their own divine reckoning. From the celestial throne, Michael prepared to descend. A great light pierced the heavens as he, along with his host of warrior angels, prepared for battle. His presence was like a blazing fire, his voice like the roaring of thunder. As he descended upon the earth, the very ground trembled beneath his feet. The watchers, once mighty and arrogant, now quaked in fear. They knew their judgment had come. Michael stood as the instrument of divine justice, the sword of God's righteousness. He declared in a voice that shook the heavens and the earth, "You who were once sons of heaven have defiled yourselves with the daughters of men. You have brought forth destruction upon the earth. Now by the decree of the Almighty, your judgment is sealed." The wives of the fallen angels, who had once reveled in the power of their celestial husbands, now saw the fury of the Most High descending upon them. Some screamed in terror, others fell to their knees in despair. But there was no escape. The heavens had spoken. The judgment had begun. What was their fate? The earth trembled beneath the weight of divine judgment. The heavens had spoken, and the mighty archangel Michael had descended like a storm of righteous fury. His presence alone struck terror into the hearts of the fallen angels and their wives, those who had forsaken the natural order to embrace forbidden power. Their sins had corrupted mankind, ushering in an era of bloodshed, sorcery, and abominations never meant to exist. Now their reckoning had come. The wives of the fallen angels, once ordinary women, had become something more, or rather, something less. Their union with celestial beings had changed them. They had been given forbidden knowledge, secrets of the heavens that no mortal was ever meant to possess. Their husbands, the watchers, had taught them sorcery, divination, enchantments, and the dark arts. The book of Jubilees, chapter 5, verses 8 to 11, tells us that these women were no longer innocent. And the women also of the angels who went astray shall become sirens. And I, the Lord God, will bring a great destruction upon them and their children, and there shall not be left of them one that is not judged for all their wickedness. The Nephilim, the monstrous offspring born of these unholy unions, had ravaged the earth, devoured mankind, and drowned the world in chaos. And while the fallen angels were responsible, their wives had been willing participants in this dark rebellion. They had not only laid with these celestial beings, but they had also spread their knowledge, taught sorcery to others, and aided in corrupting humanity. And now Michael stood before them, God's enforcer, the warrior of divine justice. As Michael stretched out his mighty hand, a great fire descended from the heavens. The skies darkened, the winds howled, and an unholy shriek filled the air as divine flames consumed the earth. The book of Enoch, chapter 10, verse 12, speaks of this terrifying moment. When their sons have slain one another, and they have seen the destruction of their beloved ones, bind them fast under the hills of the earth for 70 generations, till the day of their judgment and of their consummation. One by one, the wives of the fallen angels fell to the ground, consumed by celestial fire. They cried out in agony, calling upon their husbands, the fallen watchers, to save them. But there was no salvation. Their celestial lovers were already being bound in chains, awaiting their own eternal punishment. Some of these women tried to flee, but Michael's warrior angels pursued them, ensuring that none escaped judgment. Their once beautiful faces twisted in torment as the fire scorched their flesh, reducing them to ashes. But their spirits did not find rest. Though their physical bodies had been destroyed by divine fire, the punishment did not end there. Their souls were bound in torment, trapped as a warning to all who would dare follow in their footsteps. In ancient texts, including the book of Enoch and the book of Jubilees, it is said that these spirits became wandering entities, restless, cursed, and forever yearning for what they had lost. They became sirens, spirits of seduction and deception, doomed to wander the earth, unable to find peace. Some say that these very spirits still roam to this day, whispering forbidden knowledge to those who seek it, luring the unsuspecting into darkness. The fate of these women was a lesson, a warning of the dangers of defying divine order. They had embraced forbidden love, pursued power never meant for them, and aided in the corruption of an entire generation. And for that, they paid the ultimate price. Even today, their story serves as a cautionary tale. It reminds us that not all knowledge is meant to be known, not all power is meant to be wielded, and not all temptations lead to glory. What happened to the wives of the fallen angels was terrifying, but the judgment was not yet complete. For now, Michael turned his attention to the fallen watchers themselves, the ones who started it all. What was their fate? The cries of the fallen had faded. Their wives had been consumed by divine fire, their spirits forever cursed. But the work of Michael was not finished. For though the fallen angels were bound and their wives judged, their offspring, the Nephilim, still walked the earth. These monstrous beings, the giants born from the union of fallen angels and human women, had ravaged humanity, spreading bloodshed and terror across creation. Their strength was unmatched, their hunger insatiable. They had become the ultimate weapon of destruction, a blight upon the earth. And now their time had come. The book of Enoch, chapter 10, verses 9 to 10, describes the scene. And to Gabriel said the Lord, "Proceed against the bastards and the reprobates, and against the children of fornication, and destroy the children of the watchers from amongst men. Send them one against the other, that they may destroy each other in battle. For length of days shall not be theirs." The earth itself could no longer bear the weight of their sin. The Nephilim had turned upon mankind, devouring humans as prey. They had defiled animals, corrupted nature, and twisted the very order of creation. Their sheer size and power made them unstoppable. No mortal army could defeat them. No earthly force could stand against them. And so the heavens decreed their destruction. Michael, the commander of God's armies, turned his attention to the monstrous offspring of the Watchers. It was time to wipe them from the face of the earth. Michael descended once more, but this time he did not come alone. He was joined by the great archangels, Gabriel, Raphael, and Uriel. Together they would bring forth the judgment of God upon the Nephilim. The Lord had already spoken. The Nephilim would fall and creation would be cleansed. But their destruction would not come through fire this time. It would come through water. In Genesis chapter 6, verse 17, God declares his ultimate judgment. "And behold, I, even I, do bring a flood of waters upon the earth to destroy all flesh, wherein is the breath of life from under heaven, and everything that is in the earth shall die." This flood was not just about human wickedness, it was divine warfare against the Nephilim. And so the heavens opened. The sky darkened, thick clouds gathered, and a terrifying storm began to brew. The winds howled like the voices of the angels themselves, heralding the wrath to come. Then it began. At first the rain came as a gentle warning, a few drops, a light drizzle. But within moments it became a torrential downpour. The seas raged, their waves rising higher than ever before. Rivers swelled, devouring the land. The ground split apart, and from its depths, fountains of water burst forth. The Nephilim, once mighty, felt fear for the first time. They roared in defiance, shaking the earth with their bellows. But there was no escape. The water rose. Villages vanished beneath the flood. Cities crumbled as the waves swallowed them whole. The giants fought. Some tried to flee to the highest mountains, climbing in desperation, but the waters followed them. Others turned on each other, driven to madness in their final moments. The very decree of God had caused them to slaughter one another, as foretold in 1 Enoch 10:9. Even their supernatural strength could not save them. Their roars turned to cries. Their cries turned to silence. And then they were no more. As the floodwaters receded, the earth was cleansed. The Nephilim, once the greatest threat to creation, had been erased from existence. The fallen angels were bound in chains, buried beneath the earth. Their wives were destroyed, their spirits cursed, and now their monstrous offspring had been wiped away. Only one family remained, Noah and his household, preserved by God to begin anew. For the first time in generations, the world was free from the corruption of the watchers. But was this the end? Or did the Nephilim somehow return after the flood? Could their bloodline have survived? The floodwaters receded. The Nephilim were no more. The fallen angels were bound in the abyss. And yet, this story is far from over. It is not just an ancient tale buried in the pages of forgotten texts. It is a warning, a lesson for all generations. What happened in the days of Noah was not just a punishment, it was a revelation of divine order, justice, and the consequences of rebellion. Even today, the battle that began with the Watchers and their forbidden unions still echoes across time. Let's uncover why this story still matters and what it means for us right now. 1. Disobedience leads to judgment. The Watchers were once holy beings, created to serve God, to protect and guide mankind. But they chose disobedience. They defied the order of heaven, stepping beyond the boundaries of their divine role. They took what was not theirs to take, and in the end, judgment came. The book of Jude, chapter 1, verse 6, warns us of their fate. And the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he hath reserved in everlasting chains under darkness unto the judgment of the great day. Their rebellion did not go unpunished. Their wives, their offspring, and all who joined in their corruption suffered the same fate. This is a lesson for all of humanity. Disobedience to God's will leads to destruction. When we seek power, knowledge, or control outside of His divine plan, we invite judgment upon ourselves. The world before the flood was wiped away because it had strayed too far, and Jesus Himself warned that history could repeat itself. In Matthew chapter 24 at verse 37, He said, "But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be." Could it be that we are once again living in the days of Noah? 2. Angels were never meant to interfere with human destiny. The Watchers tampered with creation. They introduced forbidden knowledge, secrets of war, sorcery, and unnatural power. Their actions brought forth the Nephilim, beings that were never meant to exist. Mankind was not created to be ruled by fallen angels or influenced by supernatural forces seeking their own gain. God had set boundaries for angels and for humans. But when those boundaries were broken, chaos and destruction followed. The wives of the fallen angels knew this truth, but still chose to embrace their unnatural unions, and they suffered for it. This same temptation still exists today. In a world that glorifies power, knowledge, and influence, how often do people seek forbidden wisdom? How often do they try to bend the natural order for their own desires? The Watchers were not meant to rule over men. Just as today, we are not meant to submit to dark spiritual forces that seek to manipulate and control us. We must be on guard. 3. Spiritual warfare still rages today. Many think of Michael the Archangel as an ancient figure, a warrior of a bygone era. But Michael is not just a figure of the past. He still fights today. The battle against the fallen angels did not end with the flood. It continues in the spiritual realm, an ongoing war between the forces of light and darkness. The Apostle Paul reminds us of this in Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12. "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places." Michael, the great warrior of heaven, is still battling these dark forces. The same spirits that led the Watchers to fall, the same deception that led their wives into rebellion, still seek to corrupt mankind today. But how do we stand firm? How do we resist the influence of these dark forces? Paul gives us the answer in Ephesians chapter 6, verses 13 to 17. "Wherefore take unto you the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day. Stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, taking the shield of faith, and take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God." Michael may fight in the heavens, but we must stand strong here on earth. The war against spiritual corruption continues, and we must choose our side. The fallen angels were cast down. The wives of the watchers were punished. The Nephilim were wiped from the earth. Or were they? If the world is once again becoming like the days of Noah, then does that mean the Nephilim will rise again? Could it be that their influence still lingers in our world today? Michael's mission was clear: to cleanse the earth of the fallen angels' corruption. The watchers were bound. Their wives were consumed in divine fire. The Nephilim were wiped away by the flood. But was that truly the end? What if their spirits still roam the earth? What if their influence never truly disappeared? Could hidden forces still be at work in our world today, manipulating, deceiving, and leading humanity astray once more? Now I turn to you. What do you think happened to the spirits of these fallen women? Do they still exist, trapped between worlds? Could their influence still be felt today? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to uncover more hidden biblical stories, make sure to like this video to support our research. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a revelation. Share this with others who are searching for the truth. Thank you for watching, and remember, history holds mysteries that still shape our world today. Until next time, stay vigilant, stay faithful, and may God's truth always guide you.